Hello everybody and welcome to Project Trade. This is the Technical Indicators Show, and with us today it is the Alligator indicator. Creator Bill Williams opting for a fun name as opposed to a standard descriptive naming that most technical analysts tend to stick to. All that fun is coming from his 1995 book, Trading Chaos, Maximize Profits with Proven Technical Techniques. Proven by who exactly? By him, of course, Bill Williams. In the book, in fact, he often refers to this indicator as the mighty alligator to demonstrate its power in the markets. A marketing maestro to be admired, the man truly is. The Alligator indicator is a multiple moving average strategy built into a single indicator. So I will say that there is absolutely nothing that you get from the Alligator indicator that you couldn't get from applying the settings that it uses to 3 individual moving averages anyway. Classic Bill Williams. Since the indicator uses moving averages, it should come as absolutely no surprise that we hunt trends with this one. The burning question that everybody around the world is asking though, what are the moving averages that Bill Williams uses? The first thing to note is the type of moving average that's used, and that is the smooth moving average. The aim, of course, is, as the name suggests, to try and smooth out the market price action. So let's take a second to just see the formula of the smooth moving average. If you don't want to hear about the formula in depth, then we've done a specific video on the smooth moving average, which I'll link in the video description. But it's enough to say here that it is a moving average which tries to take in all available price data in an attempt to remove market noise from its reading. Therefore, although it's a smoother response, it is also a slower response than some other moving averages, such as the exponential or linear weighted moving averages. The purpose of those moving averages is to try and get onto new trends as quickly as possible. So you are inevitably going to get more false signals on those averages than you would on the smoothed average. Now let's find out exactly what inputs the Alligator indicator uses with those smooth averages. If you are unfamiliar with the Alligator indicator, one of the first things that you'll notice about the moving averages is the names that Bill Williams gave them. It's all part of that fun. They are called the jaw, the teeth and the lips, just like the mouth of the mighty alligator. The jaw is the slowest of the 3 as a 13 period average. The teeth is middling with 8 periods, and the lips is the speediest with 5 periods. But you'll also notice that the lines are shifted as well, meaning their reading on the price chart is pushed forward to the right by a certain number of bars. For the alligator, its default is 8 bar shift for the jaw, 5 for the teeth and 3 for the lips. The only other relevant information to note for the default settings is that it is applied to the median price of the periods, not the close. Median price being the high price of the period plus the low price of the period divided by 2. It's all well and good listening to formulas in dentistry, but here's what the thing actually looks like with all those default inputs. I know typically the colors used are red, green and blue, but I use red and green for my candle colors, and I didn't want the lines to camouflage, so I went with my own set of colors. And yes, it has pretty much turned into the USP for the show. You can see on the indicator how the shift of the averages helps visualize the crossovers when the trend does break out. That's when the alligator is awake and feasting on his vanquished foes. The lines are clearly far apart, mouth open. Not like when at the top and bottom of our trend here when the lines are crisscrossing all about the place and prices in a range. In those instances, the alligator is asleep, dreaming of feasting on his vanquished foes. That was an uptrend example. Here's a downtrend example. Again, you can see that when that trend kicks in, the alligator opens its mouth, the lines start to run parallel to one another, and it is a clear signal of a trending move. There's a good chance your trading platform will let you mess about with the alligator's default settings, and if you want to do that, then go ahead. But to be honest, if you are getting into that territory and you're doing more than just a minor tweak or two, you might as well just put up your own set of individual moving averages onto the chart. A little momentary note as well about Bill Will's chosen numbers in the mix of the alligator: 3, 5, 8 and 13. Now, is that a coincidence, or is it a carefully crafted system based on sentiment towards prophetic values based within those Fibonacci numbers? Don't let it keep you up at night. Okay, let's move on to the entry signals that we're getting from the alligator indicator. Now, there is a lot of signals that moving averages will give you in general, but here we are just going to stick with the one default alligator indicator signal. And it is simple. As we've said, it's when the alligator is awake and those lines are separated and parallel. So for a buy trade, you've got the lips above the teeth, which are above the jaw, and for a sell trade, you've got the lips below the teeth, which are below the jaw. When those lines first start to separate from one another, that is your signal to get in the trade and chase that trend. Here's our uptrend example again, and where that yellow circle is, we see the 3 lines get in formation with one another, and we are in with the trade there. You can also see it marked here on our downtrend example as well. You can can also use the Alligator indicator as a filter on other entry indicators that you may be wanting to use. You could even make it so that you're trading 24/7 all the time. Just stick a set of indicators up for when the Alligator is awake and feeding in a trend, and another set of indicators for when he's in a range and sleeping. Why limit yourself from trading action? Am I correct? No time to answer that question, unfortunately, because we are moving on to our money management. If you did want to use the Alligator indicator to try and help you protect that capital of yours, and you are taking the default signal of entering a trade when the Alligator wakes up, where you can equally take an exit signal from the Alligator beginning to sleep. So when that fast moving average of the lips crosses the middling average of the teeth, that is when you close the trade. There's no guarantee that this will be at the end of the trend, but you can always re-enter the trade if the mighty Alligator does awaken to feast once again. You can also use any of the moving averages as a trailing stop loss. Naturally, the quickest average of the lips would trigger a trailing stop loss the fastest, with the jaw being the slowest. So if you are going for this approach, then which average you choose to use for this would depend on how much you want to allow the trade to move, whether you want to keep it tight or let it loose. There's options at least. Out there in the markets, you can unleash the Alligator any way you like, but do watch out for those anomalies. Like any moving average, things like gaps or short-lived high volume events are liable to throw off the reading. Fortunately, the Alligator should protect from some of this, as the three moving averages will likely chop across one another and hopefully won't lead you into a trend. But that doesn't mean that they never would though, so do be aware of your trading environment and whether or not there are any important events on which relate to the asset that you're trading. And assuming that you are trend chasing with this indicator, then watch out for that range. Even when the Alligator indicator is awake, it might just be that he's got a case of dry mouth in the middle of the night and needs to get a quick drink. He doesn't need a big meal, so he's not feasting, but he keeps waking up. Such as in this example here, the Alligator is awake 4 or 5 times across our chart, but you wouldn't get much if anything out of those signals if you were also exiting when, say, the white lips cross back over the blue teeth. A lot of off-putting losses there and difficult closing decisions on the near crossovers. There is a downward trend going overall, but it's a lazy move, which demonstrates how the Alligator is going to struggle when trying to separate retracements from reversals. Beware the range. For similar indicators to the Alligator, as we've said, there's plenty to mess about with when it comes to moving averages in general. This was just Bill Williams's particular choice of format, marketed through a playful gimmick which endures as a memorable visual despite never once succeeding in getting a laugh. Another indicator out there which uses multiple moving averages in a single indicator is the Guppy, and it is 4 times more effective than the Alligator because the Guppy indicator does use 12 moving averages compared to the Alligator's 3. Here it is, and you can see that when a trend breaks out, that there's 2 sets of 6 moving averages that split off from one another. There's a faster set and a slower set, and that gap in the middle does tend to grow as the trend quickens up. And there are also many other designs available out there when it comes to using multiple moving averages. So do not feel like you are limited to these fancily named indicators like Alligator and Guppy. You can invent one that's entirely yours and name it whatever you like. The Bundy, the Dharma, the Gacy, whatever name you feel markets your indicator best. These next indicators aren't similar to the Alligator, but instead are commonly used in combination with the Alligator. They are the Awesome Oscillator and the Fractals indicator. Both of them were also created by Bill Williams, and they're used as parts in his wider PROFITUNITY strategy. Even Bill wasn't brave enough to use the Alligator as a solo indicator. Here is a chart with all of those 3 indicators on. The Awesome Oscillator is a 34-period moving average subtracted from a 5-period moving average, presented as that histogram at the bottom with the 0-line crossover. The fractals are those blue arrows on the chart just above and below the price. When the arrow is above the price, it means that it is a high in price with 2 lower highs on either side of it. Conversely, when the arrow is below the price, there is a low in price with 2 higher lows on either side of it. The intention of Bill was to create confluence with these indicators for improved trading in this PROFITUNITY strategy. So in conclusion, what do we think of the Alligator indicator? Well, it is a bit of a twist on typical moving averages, and you certainly would like to think that it came about from a lot of different testing of combinations of various moving averages, but realistically, it does still just leave us with a moving average crossover. An uptown moving average crossover, but a moving average crossover nonetheless. The most beneficial thing about the Alligator indicator, in my opinion, is that in its most basic form, it does come with an easy to understand, built-in, fun strategy. You enter a trade when the Alligator is awake in a trend and the lines are apart from one another, and then you close the trade when the Alligator falls asleep and those lines are crossing back and forth against one another. Still though, like every indicator ever created ever, it is limited without other signals to complement it. A one-trick Alligator won't go far long term, so do test out some indicators that might work well with it, or you can always take a peek at Bill Williams' PROFITUNITY strategy. That is it it then, but there is more information and links in the description if that's what you're after. And do consider how all of the charts that we've shown you today in this video have been specifically selected for showing you how this indicator may or may not work. It is a bit of a false representation of the indicator, but don't go using a brown paper bag as your source of oxygen just yet, because we have traded this indicator in live forward testing strategies, and those will be linked in the description so you can see what it's like on the real charts. This is Project Trade. I am trading's last cartographer from the Department of Charts and Recreation. Thank you for watching.